Okay, we are on the morning break in the questioning of Lindsey, not her real name, a woman who was deceived by the undercover officer Carlos Saraki, who infiltrated anti-racist, anti-fascist, socialist groups in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm joined by Caroline, who's been first time at the inquiry.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what have you made of Lindsey's evidence so far?
I think she's been an amazing witness. Actually, she's been so eloquent and clear about the events, and the evidence has been really interesting as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going back for the next session and digging more into it.
So we've been taken through the sort of the early days of the relationship that she was deceived into by Carlos Saraki. Kind of starts off like quite significantly with this occupation of Hackney Town Hall.
Yes.
We saw the she gave like it was the last night of the Samuel Pepys pub. She talks about like the atmosphere in the square outside, how they ended up entering inside the Hackney Town Hall, and this kind of contrasted with, we saw the report, the SDS report that Carlos Saraki filed about the night, where he talks about this unholy alliance of anarchists, socialists, and all sorts of groups that I don't think would be working together, who supposedly had pre-planned this event, which she's very clear was quite a spontaneous one.
Yes.
And I think I think. Unlike a lot of the women maybe who've been called to give evidence about relationships they were deceived into, I get the impression that Lindsey hasn't necessarily kind of like absolutely scored the timeline of exactly what happened in her life during that time period, which I think is probably a good idea, because I think a lot of the people in the past have been very obsessed with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So she says that she's unsure of with the first meeting and the first date, but she's pretty sure that that was the first time she properly met him, and then she knows that the first date they had because she was sacked from her job.
Yes, that was quite.
Yeah, for not turning up for the night shift on the 25th of May of 2001. I mean, I think she's been a fantastic witness. She's been very eloquent, but also very real.
Yeah.
We were taken through a lot of her sort of background as a socialist from Liverpool. She talks about growing up in Liverpool and like the poverty that existed, but also like kind of talked about these days and like the high levels of poverty that exist. What else are you hoping to hear from her as the day goes on?
Well, we've had some good jokes as well, I must say. So I think she's just coming across as a very kind of committed, kind, empathetic person that cares a lot about the world and has lived her life in attempting to make the world a better place for others, and to see how much she's been deceived by by the police officer is just quite distressing. It must have been, in terms of the psychological impact for somebody that actually cares that deeply about how they are in the world, to be deceived by somebody pretty much on the opposite end of what she's trying to achieve. I just think must be a really, upsetting, psychologically damaging situation. And I guess that's probably more what we're going to dig into now, is a bit more details around that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, she's very effectively, I think, taking aim at the appalling, misogynistic and dehumanizing written statement that that Carlos Saraki has submitted to the inquiry. As she says, it's full of like willful misrepresentation and conflation of the three different women who he deceived in sexual relationships, as well as just outright lies about actually what happened and the nature of both their relationship, but also of her as a person. I mean, he calls her anti-politics, which is just like a really weird characterization of someone who I've come to know through this process. And I mean, I would never use that phrase.
No, not at all.
But I mean, I think it just shows really how he hasn't got a leg to stand on, really. And he's relying. I mean, I think it was when she was asked what she made of that, she went, well, I mean, he has managed to get out of 2 disciplinary hearings because he claimed that he didn't have sex with any activists when he was deployed undercover. So he would say that, wouldn't he?
Yes. No, exactly. And I think just the reporting just shows such a lack of emotional accountability for anything that's going on, and anyone, including his wife and his child. It's just quite disturbing and depressing to read those reports, really.
I mean, it does. I mean, I think that those reports, coupled with his written witness statement, I mean, really shows a complete disrespect, both for the women he deceived, but also the woman he was married to during this time period. It's really gross. I mean, it's always the case with these undercover officers. It is incredibly gross.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, murky and just it doesn't leave a nice. It just. Yeah, it's just upsetting to read that, and you know, and to know that these are real people's lives that have been reported on, personal information, you know, declared in really murky circumstances to a murky authority. Yeah, just the whole thing. It's
appalling. It's only a short break. We'll have a short break for the morning. We'll be back in for another hour or so before the lunch break. Is there anything particular that you kind of that you're looking forward to hearing, perhaps, or you expect to happen?
I think just I'm interested to understand a bit more about how their relationship kind of progressed, and I guess how it sort of came to an end, really, and what the consequences were for the witness, really.
I mean, I think, like, from what I know of the story, and what Lindsey has put out in public, it really get the sense of him absolutely love bombing her, turning up to her surprise. But we had mention of it, the surprise birthday party in Liverpool that he suddenly turned up at, the declarations of love that he was making very early on. Claiming that she was unlike any other woman he'd ever met. Really just sort of, I mean, I think we heard these similar sort of character traits yesterday when Don McLean was giving evidence about the relationship she had with him subsequently later on. And you really get a sense of somebody who, he presented information about his real life, his real son, photographs of his real son, the names and details about his family members, both in Italy and in the rest of the UK. Someone who clearly had no respect for his friends and family in his real life, as opposed, and even less for the activists he was deployed against.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the disturbing part as well, isn't it? Just you know, how can you tell that many lies? And I guess you need to base it in some truth, but what is truthful in those reports is really hard to decipher.
Yeah. Very little, I think, of actual, like, heartfelt truth at any rate. Thanks for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to add before we go back in?
No.
Great. Thanks for joining us. If you're able to like and share these videos, I know it's really cringe to ask, but it makes a huge difference to how visible it is. I'll be reporting throughout the day. You can just follow the hashtag SpyCops on whatever your social media platform, and we'll see you all during the lunch break. Thanks for now.